Episode 7 of Foundation Season 3 didn't just give us an ending. It gave us a complete shakeup of everything we thought we knew. Power shifted in the blink of an eye, secrets that were hidden for seasons came to light. And the final moments left us questioning who is truly in control of the plan. If you thought the war between destiny and free will had clear sides, this episode proved otherwise. Before we can unpack that shocking ending, let's take a step back and look at how Episode 7 built up to it. Because this wasn't just another filler episode. Every scene, every line of dialogue, was setting up the pieces for the massive reveal at the end. The story begins with rising tension across multiple fronts. On one side, the Empire continues to fracture from within. Day's grip on power is weaker than ever, and his relationships with both dawn and dusk are strained beyond repair. The cracks in the dynasty are no longer small hairline fractures, they're deep, dangerous breaks that threaten to collapse the entire system of clones. We see Demerzel caught in the middle, her loyalty constantly questioned. She is bound by the programming that forces her to serve the Empire, yet her actions suggest that she is no longer acting purely in the clones' best interest. That threat alone is like a powder keg waiting to explode. Meanwhile, Hari and Gaal are once again caught in the currents of destiny. Hari's survival after so many apparent deaths is now both a source of hope and suspicion. Even Gaal is beginning to question how much of Hari's presence is real, and how much of it is simply another layer of the plan unfolding. She is haunted by visions of the future, visions that suggest not only a dark outcome for the Foundation, but also a personal cost she may not be willing to bear. What makes this so effective is that the episode doesn't just show us Gaal struggling, it forces us, the viewers, to feel the weight of her choices. Every scene with her carries the question, is she leading the Foundation, or is she being led by something bigger than herself? On the other side of the galaxy, the outer movements of the Foundation and the stirrings of the Second Foundation begin to merge in subtle ways. We're reminded that the plan was never about a single group, or even a single generation. It was about creating inevitability. But inevitability comes with resistance, and Episode 7 shows us exactly how far individuals are willing to go to resist a future they don't want. This plays out in the smaller interactions too. Minor characters who stand up against impossible odds, political pawns who take desperate risks, and even soldiers who question whether they're fighting for survival or simply playing their part in someone else's prophecy. By the time we reach the halfway point of the episode, the tension is nearly unbearable. The show carefully sets up three main threads: the Empire unraveling from the inside, Hari and Gaal's uneasy alliance, and the larger war of ideologies brewing across the galaxy. Each of these threads feels like it's pulling in a different direction, but the genius of this episode is how they all converge in the ending. That convergence doesn't come out of nowhere. It's foreshadowed in every choice, every hesitation, every whispered warning that we've seen throughout Season 3. This recap is important, because it reminds us that Foundation doesn't do random twists. The ending of Episode 7 is shocking, yes, but it's also the natural result of everything that has been building for weeks. The betrayals, the visions, the doubts, the shifting alliances, all of it was leading to this point. And so, when the final moments arrive, they don't just surprise us, they make us realize that we should have seen it coming all along. The final act of Episode 7 is where everything explodes, not through chaos alone, but through a carefully staged series of choices that feel both inevitable and terrifying. Let's break it down piece by piece. The first major beat comes with the Empire. After an episode filled with simmering distrust, the confrontation we've been waiting for finally erupts. Day, who has spent most of the season trying to hold on to his crumbling authority, finds himself cornered. His arrogance, his insistence that the dynasty is unshakable, is tested in the worst way. Dawn and Dusk, who for so long played their roles as loyal mirrors of Day, are no longer content to stay in the background. Their disobedience is not subtle, it is open, direct, and dangerous. For the first time, the illusion of unity among the clones breaks apart in front of us, but the real sting comes from Demerzel. She has always been the loyal shadow, the enforcer who never wavers, bound by her programming to protect the Empire. Yet in the final sequences, her actions hint at a quiet rebellion, not a loud declaration, but something far more unsettling: a hesitation, a pause. The smallest refusal to act exactly as Day commands. And in a show as detail-driven as Foundation, a single hesitation is louder than an explosion. It tells us that even Demerzel, the most loyal of all, may no longer believe in the dynasty's survival. While this palace drama is playing out, we cut back to Hari and Gaal, who are standing on the edge of their own revelation. For much of the season, Hari has acted like a ghost who knows more than he reveals. A figure half-trapped between life and death, prophecy, and reality. But episode 7 finally pushes him into a moment of vulnerability. His confidence falters, his words carry weight not as a mastermind, but as someone who fears that even he has lost control of the plan. That shift is crucial, because it changes how we see him. No longer the untouchable prophet, Hari becomes something far more human, a man trying to keep the future on track, even as it splinters before his eyes. And then comes Gaal. Her visions have haunted her since the beginning. But in this episode, they take on a sharper, more immediate edge. She sees the possibility of a war that consumes both foundations, the collapse of everything Hari promised to preserve. More importantly, she sees herself at the center of that collapse, not as a savior, but as a catalyst for destruction. The fear in her performance tells us everything. She doesn't want this fate. Yet she cannot escape the sense that it's already written. The final moments bring these threads together in one chilling sequence. The show cuts rapidly between Empire's implosion and Gaal's visions, making us realize that these aren't two separate stories, they are reflections of the same inevitability. The plan is unraveling, and no one, not Hari, not Gaal, not even the Empire, seems strong enough to stop it. The atmosphere tightens with every shot, every pause, until the screen itself feels like it's suffocating. And then the twist. The episode ends not with clarity, but with a question. A betrayal hinted at but not fully explained. A power shift revealed but not resolved. A vision of the future that looks more like a nightmare than a prophecy. It is the kind of ending that refuses to let you breathe, the kind that makes you replay every scene to figure out how you missed the warning signs. What makes this ending so effective is that it doesn't hand us answers. It doesn't tell us who will rise or who will fall. Instead, it leaves us on the edge, staring at a galaxy where every certainty has been broken. Foundation has always been a story about control, who has it, who loses it, and whether it even exists at all. Episode 7's ending reminds us that control is an illusion. The plan is not a map, it's a battlefield. And as the screen fades to black, one truth becomes clear. The war for the future of humanity has only just begun. Foundation has never been a show that thrives only on twists. The real strength of its storytelling comes from the layers beneath those twists, the metaphors, the symbols, and the constant dialogue between fate and free will. Episode 7's ending is packed with those layers, and when we peel them back, we see the heart of the show shining through. One of the clearest symbols in this episode is the crumbling of the Empire's unity. On the surface, it's just politics, Day losing his grip, Dawn and Dusk openly resisting, and Demerzel wavering for the first time. But on a symbolic level, this is about the fragility of legacy. The dynasty has always represented the illusion of permanence, the idea that by cloning themselves, the Cleons could cheat time and rule forever. The ending of episode 7 tears that illusion apart. It shows us that no matter how much power you accumulate, no matter how tightly you try to control the future, entropy always wins. The clones thought they were eternal, but the cracks in their system reveal that eternity is just another lie humans tell themselves. Then there's Hari, and the plan. Hari Seldon has always been framed as a prophet, a man who looked at chaos and pulled out order, a figure who bent math into destiny. But the ending forces us to see Hari in a new light. He isn't a god, and he isn't immune to fear. His uncertainty in this episode represents the fragility of belief. If even the architect of the plan doubts whether it will hold, then what does that say about everyone else who puts their trust in it? The symbol here is clear. The plan isn't just a piece of mathematics, it's faith. And like all faith, it can be shaken. This ties directly into Gaal's visions. Her glimpses of the future aren't just narrative devices. They are metaphors for the weight of knowledge. She sees destruction, chaos, and war, but what makes it powerful is her fear of becoming the cause. Gaal represents the tension between knowing the path and choosing to walk it. Her visions are symbolic of prophecy itself, a gift that feels like a curse. In episode 7's ending, Gaal doesn't just fear the future, she fears her own role in creating it. This theme pushes us to think about destiny. Is it something we stumble into, or something we create through fear and hesitation? And then we return to Demerzel. Her hesitation in the final act might be the most important symbolic moment of the entire episode. She is literally programmed to serve, a living machine bound by rules she cannot break. Yet in this episode, she wavers. For a single moment, she resists. That hesitation is symbolic of rebellion, not just hers, but rebellion in general. It shows us that even the most controlled beings can find cracks in their chains. Demerzel isn't just a character here, she's a mirror for the entire galaxy. If she can resist her programming, maybe the galaxy can resist the plan. Taken together, these symbols paint a powerful picture. The fall of false permanence, the fragility of belief, the curse of knowledge, and the inevitability of rebellion. Foundation has always asked one central question: is history inevitable, or can individuals change it? Episode 7's ending leans heavily into the latter. It tells us that even the most carefully laid plans, whether it's the Empire's dynasty, or Hari's psychohistory, can collapse because of human doubt, fear, or defiance. And thematically, this is where Foundation thrives. The show is reminding us that history isn't just numbers and probabilities, it's people. People with doubts, fears, and desires that no equation can predict. The clones thought they were immortal. They weren't. Hari thought he could control the future. He can't. Gaal thought knowledge would protect her. It only terrifies her more. And Demerzel, the most controlled of all, shows us that control is an illusion, so when the screen goes black at the end of episode 7, it's not just the cliffhanger that lingers, it's the themes. The reminder that power is fragile. That destiny is a cage we build for ourselves. And that the plan, no matter how brilliant, may not survive the very people it was built to save. Now that we've broken down the events and the symbolism behind episode 7's ending, it's time to ask the real question. What does this all mean for our characters? And where could the story go next? Because the ending wasn't just about shock value. It set the stage for massive changes in Foundation's power balance. Let's start with Hari Seldon. The ending leaves him looking less like a prophet and more like a man staring at the limits of his own creation. Hari has always presented himself as the master of the plan, but this episode cracks that mask. His fear shows us that even the plan may not account for every possibility. The implication is huge. If Hari no longer believes in the plan's certainty, then the galaxy itself may spiral into unpredictability. Some fans might even wonder if this version of Hari is still the real one, or if his many resurrections have diluted his control. Either way, episode 7 positions Hari not as a godlike figure, but as a flawed human being, and that makes him both more dangerous and more relatable. Then there's Gaal Dornick. Her arc has been building toward leadership, but the ending twists that trajectory. Instead of being the confident heir to Hari's vision, she is portrayed as someone haunted by her own future. Her visions don't empower her, they paralyze her. The implication is that Gaal's choices in the next episodes will be the most important of the season. If she embraces the fear, she could fulfill her prophecy of destruction. But if she learns to resist it, she may become the key to rewriting the plan. Gaal's character is now standing on the knife's edge between savior and destroyer, and the show is daring us to guess which way she fall. Turning to the Empire, the ending practically screams collapse. Day's authority is broken. Dawn and dusk are no longer loyal, and Demerzel's hesitation suggests that even the most loyal servant might turn away. The implication here is that the Cleonic dynasty, which has defined so much of the galaxy's stability, may not survive much longer. And if the Empire falls, then the plan itself, which counted on a predictable empire to shape history, could unravel completely. The Empire isn't just fighting rebels anymore, it's fighting itself. And in many ways, that's a far deadlier battle. And what about Demerzel? Her tiny pause in the final moments might be the most important shift of all. She has always been bound by her programming, but if she is starting to resist, even in small ways, then the story could be setting her up as the ultimate wildcard. Imagine the consequences if Demerzel, the one figure who has always enforced the dynasty's stability, decides to turn against it. That single act could change the balance of power across the galaxy more than any rebellion or war. So where does this all lead? Let's explore a few theories. Theory 1. The ending hints at the rise of the Second Foundation. With the Empire crumbling and Hari losing confidence, the need for another force to guide humanity becomes clear. The Second Foundation could emerge not as a hidden ally, but as a necessary correction to a failing plan. Theory 2. Gaal's visions are not fixed. Instead of predicting one inevitable future, they might be showing her the consequences of fear. If she acts out of fear, destruction follows. But if she acts out of choice, she might rewrite destiny. This would make Gaal not a prisoner of prophecy, but the one person capable of breaking it. Theory 3. Demerzel becomes the central figure in the fall of the Empire. Her hesitation could grow into outright rebellion, and her eventual betrayal might be the event that tears the Cleonic dynasty apart once and for all. If this happens, the entire galaxy will be forced to navigate a future without the false stability of cloned rulers. Each of these theories ties back to the larger theme of Foundation: control versus chaos. The ending of Episode 7 shows us that no one, not Hari, not Gaal, not the Empire, is fully in control anymore. And that's exactly what makes the next episodes so exciting. As the credits roll, the message is clear. We are no longer in a world where the plan feels inevitable. We are in a world where every choice matters, where individuals can tilt the course of history, and where even the most carefully designed system can crumble under the weight of doubt and rebellion. So, what should we expect moving forward? Uncertainty, tension, and a battle not just for the galaxy, but for the very idea of destiny itself. Episode 7 has placed every major character at a crossroads, and whichever way they turn will decide the future of humanity. And that's why this ending works so well. It doesn't just leave us shocked, it leaves us with questions. Questions about Hari's true role, about Gaal's ability to resist her visions, about Demerzel's loyalty, and about whether the Empire's collapse is the end of history, or the beginning of something new. Whatever happens, one thing is certain. Foundation Season 3 has moved past the setup. From this point forward, we are in uncharted territory. And if Episode 7's ending is any indication, the galaxy has never been more unstable or more fascinating. When the screen cut to black at the end of Foundation Season 3, Episode 7, it wasn't just another cliffhanger. It was a statement. The galaxy we've been watching carefully shaped and manipulated is now slipping out of everyone's control. The Empire, once unshakable, is fracturing. Hari, once unbreakable, is showing doubt. Gaal, once guided by certainty, is overwhelmed by visions she doesn't want to face. And Demerzel, once the most loyal servant in the galaxy, is hesitating in ways that could change everything.